Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shantir Shantir Shantihi. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Vridavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusantatami Bhagavad Gita Bhavatveshini Namostu te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pulla Ravindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraika Panaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetamritaduhe Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyaha Mokshayishyami Ma Shuchaha. So we are on the 9th chapter, and this chapter is a very deep chapter. It is definitely a chapter where, the whole aspect of the relation of, I would say, the Jagat, the whole world, who am I as an individual, and what is really Jiva Jagat Ishvara, and what is that ultimate cause of the universe. I want to say it that way because that is where we are going to be focusing our talk today. And why I'm not able to move my thing here. 1 second. So this is the thing that we are coming into in this chapter. As much as we have this Tattvamasi Mahavakya, where we discussed about who I am as Tvam, and Tat, the entire that aspect of Ishvara. But in the 9th chapter, really the seed for that highest knowledge is being given, and especially in the shlokas 4 to 5. So I know last time we talked about pretty deep into those shlokas 4 and 5. Before we go into it, I wanted to just ask you, were you able to reflect on any of the concepts from last week? Is there anything that you want to ask so that I make sure that as we are talking about it here, we will be able to cover it? I don't know if Meena is there. I think Meena is not here today. Meena had some thoughts. Okay, no problem. So we started off with chapter 9 by first looking at the 3 verses where we see that Arjuna is being told that this knowledge that we're going to be talking about now in shlokas 4 and 5, that is the most precious of the knowledge, the most difficult, you might say, to understand it, and extremely subtle. The subtlety of the knowledge is such that our mind has to be completely free of any kind of thoughts that can disturb it. So in that sense, knowledge is very subtle. And because of that, he calls it as a secret, because A secret can be understood only when my mind is ready for it. So that is why we had talked about that the knowledge is subtle. It is that knowledge which is going to remove any kind of misconceptions of who I am. For example, today, there is just no doubt that I have to function in this world as Sunitha. So, with Sunitha comes in a lot of layers of things that I have to put on in order to function. So much so that all those things that I think who Sunitha is becomes part of my personality. To understand this knowledge, I have to go completely away from thinking of who I am and get to the subtlety of who I really am. Only then I'll be able to understand this knowledge. So that is why he calls the first, in the very first, he calls it as a secret. In the second verse, that secret is he's trying to say that when I get to that level of subtlety of who I am, then the knowledge is immediate. It is pratyaksham avagamanam, which is complete, which is so easy to understand. But the difficulty for us is the easiness with which we can understand and the simplicity of knowledge. It is a lot of effort to get to that simplicity, but once I get to the simple form of who I am, then I can understand it. You know, I I don't know if you can understand that aspect of it. Basically, we have made our lives very complicated. You know, we have created all this division of who I am within myself. Like, for example, I am that Atman. That is as simple as it can be in each one of us. But that Atman, we have now understood ourselves to be as this body, mind, and intellect. Once I talk about body, mind, and intellect, my identity has become even more complex because at every level, I look at myself differently. So the simplicity is when I can get back to the fact that I recognize myself as Atman. When I recognize myself as Atman, then the knowledge becomes very, very simple. I can understand it. So that is what we mean by that direct perception is possible only when I recognize myself as that Atman. Everything else is kind of an intellectual understanding. Okay. So, and then he says, once you gain this knowledge, which gives you the ultimate happiness, the ultimate peace, nobody can take that knowledge away from you. This is very unlike all the other knowledge that we are dealing with in the world. So, for example, today I might think that music, being a musician is going to give me the ultimate happiness. At some point, I get tired of it. I want to become a rock star. I want to be maybe even move to sports or whatever. All that knowledge cannot give me the final happiness. It will always be replaced by something else. But this knowledge will never be replaced. It is permanent and it is the absolute knowledge which will give you the bestest of all the goals that we're looking for. Then in shloka number 3, we saw this aspect, what I said earlier, on how complex we have brought ourselves to be. So he gives this thing saying that at the end of the day, Arjuna, you have to develop faith in this knowledge. But our faith is never really easy for us, mainly because we always keep doubting it. And that is why in the very first shloka itself, he tells Arjuna, Arjuna Anusuya, he uses that word. And then he says that one has to develop this active faith. That active faith is through understanding, through logical thinking, and to be able to understand that knowledge in the midst of all the experiences. Once I'm able to get that through, of course, the Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, we say, then it is easy. And then this is the shloka which we said is Shraddhavan Labhate Jnanam Tatparah. So that only with Shraddha, and that Shraddha again is mainly if I'm a person ready for it. And then he says this knowledge is a Paurushaya because You will not see the gain of this knowledge like I would go to Costco and get something or whatever, that it's not a gift that I can hold it in my hand or whatever. It can be only understood at the intellectual level. So it is apaurushaya, it is beyond a human kind of an understanding. It is that knowledge. So even the word that I used just now, that it is beyond a human understanding, we can understand this knowledge as it is in the Shastras. But in order to get to that absolute knowledge, I have to have, through the leap of faith, I have to be one with it. And that is the absolute state of meditation, even. The minute I think I have gotten that knowledge, I actually don't have it. Because this knowledge is beyond, as I said, the human understanding, beyond the ego, so to speak. So that is why it is apaurushaya. I have to just have that absolute trust and that knowledge. So now you can see how the difficulty for us in understanding this knowledge. And that is why it is a secret. And that is why, so anyway, that is the thing. So let's come to the shlokas 4 and 5. I'm going to say both of them together, and then we are going to analyze these two shlokas. Okay. So in shloka number 4, he says, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagatavyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani na cha aham teshva vastitaha. So it's just, he's trying to say that, idam sarvam. What is that idam? This idam is the world. Okay. This entire world, which is actually made of, if I have to describe the world, what would be the descriptives? Let me ask you, how would you describe this world? What are the descriptives that you would use? It's a very simple question.
Hari Om, the simple words that I can think of are world is very large, it is very beautiful, it is very colorful, it is very beautiful, it is words like that that are words by itself, they limit you cannot, it's there is limitation in each word, so it doesn't capture the entire essence of the world. That's what I would say.
Okay.
My understanding.
Okay. So any other, yeah?
Yeah, the answer comes is like is a huge. That's the first word that comes.
Big,
And
huge, big.
because,
Okay.
yeah, huge or big. Because whatever I see with my, or around me, or, whatever I know, is still like limited.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Very
yeah,
good.
that's a thought that comes to me.
Very good. So I hope you can see where I'm getting to. The idea is, because last time, we said, this is really complex to understand. What is my relation with the Jagat? That is one thing. Second thing, we are also kind of desperately and sometimes frustratingly also trying to understand, uh, who is God? Who is this Ishvara? And here, like, for example, in the very first sentence, you see Krishna is telling Arjuna that, hey, Arjuna, I'm the one who's everywhere, because by now Arjuna is already understanding Krishna as God. But then he's looking at Krishna and say, okay, you're standing in front of me, but you're also saying that I'm everywhere. Which is why I wanted to come back and ask you this question as, okay, what is everywhere? Everywhere is this world, correct? It is this Jagat. And when you described Suvarna as what is this world, you said it's wonderful, it's beautiful, it has all colors, all that. And Anand said it is big. It is big. It is also extremely small. when I say small as a COVID virus, correct? From the COVID virus all the way up to the galaxies and everything, this is the entire world. This is the world I'm in. Okay. But if we have to, this is the greatness of our Sanatana Dharma, and this is the greatness of the Hindu philosophy. It's just unbelievable, in which it says, at the end of the day, the whole world, if I have to qualify it, they are different forms, okay? Small to big. So this is the rupa forms, okay? The second thing is, if I have to break it down into chemistry terms, they're all nothing but all these elements, okay? And a major portion of these elements is nothing but carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, okay? I mean, this is what it is. So but they are in different forms. Even if I take just a name form, but this carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, it exists in sugar, it exists in rice, it exists in the mud. They're all the same carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, but they're all just different names. So they are different names of the same material. They are different rupa, which means they're different forms. They are small, big, different kinds of forms. They are triangular, they are circular, they are square, everything. And the third most important thing is that it has a utility value. For example, rice has a different utility value than sugar has. Let us take the mud. The mud is in the form of clay. The mud is in the form of the, mud in a different form can form the walls of a hut, right? So that is all this entire world is. Okay. It has nama, it has rupa, and it has a utility value. Okay. The whole thing, yeah, go ahead, Anand.
Yeah. Another thought that comes is, it's ever changing.
It is ever changing. Yes, that is also correct. It is ever changing. It is perishable from one form today to another form. Each one of us, and I think, our own cells in our body, one day it must have been in my, some other beings, and now I'm part of that thing. Everything is changing. It is not permanent at all. Correct? So that is what Maya Tatamidam Sarvam, by me is pervaded, this whole world. But he says in my unmanifest form. Now, unmanifest, he says avyakta. Avyakta. Vyakta means which is perceivable. I can see it. Okay. Like, for example, if I have this cup in my, this tumbler in my hand, it is I can see it, I can feel it, I can, think about it. But here he says, I'm in the avyakta form, in an unmanifest form. Each one of these words are so powerful. I'm just going deeper into it. We didn't touch upon this before. Avyakta is, Krishna is saying that, and by the end of this today, or maybe it may take two more also, but we will be moving on, but the concepts will be coming again and again. But the key thing to remember is Krishna is saying that Maya Tatamidam, by me, the whole is pervaded, actually in a form which you cannot really see, hear, touch, all that. That is how it is really pervaded. Okay. Don't worry about whether I understand that whole statement yet. You will understand it towards the end of it, because we'll be coming back to this again. Okay. Yeah, Geeta.
He says, Krishna is saying that I am the Lord, or I am the ultimate.
I'm the ultimate.
He has a form, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to connect avyakta to the form.
To the form. Very good. Excellent. Very good question. How can we even understand that, right? Because here he is. Now, the reason, maybe I'm jumping the gun a little further away, but I will explain to you, like, how do I say this? Best example. In a dream, okay? And I'm going to use the same examples. We're not going to go to too many different kind of examples. We'll use examples which we're already familiar with, because it is, literally there is nothing new that has to be invented anymore. Everything has already been done. If we can understand what has been told before, that itself is a great thing. So this example that I'm going to give you is of a dream. Okay. Now, in a dream, if you analyze it, where is the dream happening? Geeta, I'm just going to ask you the question. When you dream, right?
Yes.
Where is the dream?
In our mind.
In whose mind?
In my mind.
In your mind. Okay. It is not happening in Pradeep's mind. It is not in Vijaya Vinod's mind, your mother's. It is happening in your mind. Okay. In your mind, let's say there is a scenario of, you're going to the Bharatiya temple and there is a big puja going on. Sankranti just happened. There are about 100 people there. All this is in your mind. Okay. Now, you are thinking about this in your mind. In your mind has created these thoughts. You, Geeta's mind, is there in each one of those people in that scenario, in your mind of that scenario of the Sankranti thing. Okay. Geeta's mind is there in each one of them. They are not individually. Other people have not come into your mind. Are you able to get that? Your mind has disintegrated into forming this 50 other people. In and through all that, Geeta is also there. Geeta is moving around with all the people. But Geeta is also in the other minds. Correct? This is exactly
thinking that all of them are there.
Geeta is thinking, but Geeta has become that. Imagine that scenario has happened. That is happening in your mind. Correct? That's exactly how Krishna is telling here. Krishna is saying that you are seeing me as Krishna now, but I'm the same person who is everywhere. So take that now into our scenario, which is happening in the day in our world. So in Vedanta, we believe that even this life that I'm leading right now, right? This is also a dream, actually. Okay? In dream in a bigger sense. So think about this as Krishna's dream. Okay? So Krishna is saying that
this is dream. Whatever we are living right now, it's dream. Then everything falls into place.
Correct. Exactly. So this is exactly what he's saying here. Krishna is saying, yes, I'm there physically with you, but I'm also there in you, Arjuna. I'm there in the trees, which is there at the back. I'm there in this. Just like the dream example. Okay?
Good. Thank you.
So this is just, so don't take this out of context. This is only in the context of what you asked a question and I gave you that answer. Okay?
Okay.
So anyway, so here we have this Maya Tatamidam Sarvam Jagat Avyakta Murtina, but he's saying I am actually pervading in unmanifest form. Now that's a very deep thing he's saying. Let's not go there yet. We'll come to it again.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Meena, yes.
I have a question. So is that why we say Sarvam Krishna Arpanam?
Yes, we do say Sarvam Krishna Arpanam because at the end of the day, everything we do is only for him in that larger sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then Matstani Sarva Bhutani, all beings exist in me. Okay. But I do not dwell in them. So again, he's trying to, it looks like very contradictory statement because by me, everything is pervaded. And then all beings are existing in me. And this is where we again used this example of, and this will all come, actually, I have a lot of pictures in today's thing, but I do not dwell in them. So all beings exist in me. Think about it, like I said, with the ocean and the wave example, right? Ocean is nothing but whole, it's a big body of water. Okay. And in this body of water, you have these waves, which are small, which is big, which are all these bubbles, everything. They are all in the ocean. Again, this is going to be a huge mindset change, because we are so used to, again, thinking that, you know, the the bubble contains water, the froth contains water, that contains water. But we have to change our thinking in looking at the bubble is in the wave. The bubble is in the water. The wave is in the water. That way. So if we look at it that way, it becomes easy for us to understand the statement, all beings exist in me. When we say, Meena just said, Sarvam Krishna Arpanam Astu, if everything is Krishna, we all are existing in Krishna. Okay? Including Krishna as a human being, right, is existing in Krishna. So you see the powerful thing of our own thing which is going on here, Now, the last part of it, we will not get into it, but I do not dwell in them. We'll come to that later, okay? Here he's saying it is again this relation of, maybe I will say it, but I'll bring the example also. Like, for example, but I do not dwell in them. In the sense of this name and form that I said. Suppose when I look at a pot, a pot which is made of clay, okay? When we look at the pot, we only look at it as a pot because of its utility value. The utility value of it, it's amazing. Even in, if we look at it in a modern way, we are so focused on everything. What is in it for me? What is in it for me? All our actions, they go by that notion. I always feel that only if there's something for me, I will do it. So too, when we look at a pot, we only see as utility value. We forget about the fact that it actually has a form and all that. And we even forget about the fact that it's actually made of something different than what the name and form is and the utility, which is clay. So here the idea is, because of our thought being that way, we do not think of the cause from which it came about, the clay from which the whole thing is this. So he wants to take us all the way from an effect. Okay, the clay is the one which has formed into a pot, which is the effect. The cause is the pot, the cause is the clay, the effect is the pot. And our thinking in today's world, as we deal with things, is always on the effect part of it. So that's why this idam is always the effect of it. Okay, effects of the world, whether it's the objects, the whole, whether it's the cars, houses, all those things that we see in front of us, anything which we are able to see is an effect. Think about it that way. So this idam is referring to an effect. And he's trying to say that all these effects, okay, I do not dwell in them. I'm an avyakta portion. So again, very, very powerful, but just hold to that thought and we'll come to it again. After having said that, they all exist in me, in the shloka number 5, he comes to say that, guess what? I know I told you that they all exist in me, like, this names and forms, right? The pot, for example, the pot which is in the form of the utility, in the form of the name pot, in the form of the rupam, all that. I'm saying that, yes, they're all there, but guess what? They do not really exist in me. It is all only in your mind. Okay? That is what he's coming to, but we will try to analyze this a little bit different. And he says, that is really what I want to tell you is my one, that is the secret. Pashyame yoga aishwaram, which is, that is my divine yoga. I have if I use this, it'll sound very strong, but in a way, he's saying that this is the trick, you have been tricked into thinking that this whole world is there, and that, in this world, you're going through all these motions and everything, and you go through all these ups and downs, and you have this emotions of anger, jealousy, love, all this. But guess what? All that is nothing but it's the wonder. It's the wonder where he's coming to is he'll explain later about Maya. What is Maya? That's not yet come, but he's giving you a glimpse of what he's going to talk about. So that Pashchime Yogam Aishwaram, it's the whole world here. Bhuta, and then he says the support of all beings, but not dwelling them. I am actually the support. It's because of me that you are being supported, but I'm not really in them. So he's again looking at himself, Krishna, that example which Gita, you brought it out very well. You are seeing me, but that is, you're seeing me with a form, okay? But as a formless, I'm not there. I'm not in them. But yet I am the efficient cause. But yet, because of me, this whole world is there. Just like again the pot and the clay example. Okay, without the clay, there wouldn't have been a pot. Correct. So in that sense, I am the cause. I am the cause for all those forms which exist in the world. Okay, but yet I am not in them. Okay, what is he trying to say? If we take this example of pot and the clay, okay, the clay gives the material to form the pot. Okay, that's all the clay is doing. But how the pot behaves or how the pot is being used, the clay doesn't care. Okay, I may use the pot about 10, 20, 30 times. Okay, and after some time, the pot will get dirty. Okay, the pot will get dirty and there will be some, dirt in the pot and all that. But the dirt doesn't go to the clay. Okay, the dirt doesn't stay. So the clay is still pure, immaculate, everything. So that is what he's trying to say. I am there, but I don't take on the properties of who you are. Okay. So that is what he's trying to come to. So it's a very, very, I'm already using some of the examples which I probably put this. So how do we analyze again the whole thing? We basically, we are perceiving this entire world with our sense organs. Yeah.
He says, I am not in there. When he means, he doesn't mean that he's not in the pot. He's not in the substance. Correct. In the pot. That's what. Correct. So it took time for me to understand that. Now it's clear. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Correct. That is exactly it. When he says, I'm not in them, meaning that I'm not so if we understand these two shlokas in its entirety, I'm telling you, there can be absolutely, no problems that can disturb us. Anything which happens, I can just use this, I'm not the problem. The problem exists maybe in me, but I don't have to become the problem. We become the problem and we get affected by the problem.
Hari Om. So is that why you said the other day, relationless relationship?
Relationless relationship, exactly.
This is what you meant the other day, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we get a little bit of what you said.
Yes.
So one more thing. Krishna, he is in Krishna in the form, right?
Correct.
But he's actually Krishna, right? So he is formless, right?
Yes. So he is Krishna, and as Krishna, he's that absolutely perfect human being. So we, in our day-to-day vyavahar, we respect him, we revere him, we worship him, we do all that because he represents that absolute, because I cannot assume, I cannot even imagine Krishna as unmanifest.
Correct.
But I can definitely imagine him as this perfect human being. Lord Rama is a human being, perfect human being, Lord Krishna. That is why we have that avyakta murti in the form of a vyakta murti, So now we are coming to analyzing this, as I said, we are analyzing this sentences. For that, we are starting off with understanding the world. The world is experienced by our sense organs, and all these things we call that as idam, as this, and all this is actually perceived by my sense organs, and therefore they are seen. And anything which is seen by our world creates an issue for us, actually, because whatever is seen has obviously come from our desire for that particular object. So, for example, why would I even, something in Turkey or Afghanistan, for example, will not even come in front of my eyes because I don't have a desire for something in Afghanistan or Turkey. Anything which which is a desire in me, which has been, of course, perpetuated by my vasana, is the only thing that will be in my mind, right? So this is from an individual standpoint. From each and every individual point of view, when it's connected, the whole thing becomes the whole world. And that is the one which gets manifested, which really takes a shape and a form, and then I see it. So this is all because of this. And this is why Drik Drishya Vivek, the very first shloka, Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik, we talked about how the world of names and forms, they are outside me. The only thing that is not outside me is this me who is observing everything. I am the one who is seeing that. That's how we said. And actually in that, if you remember, there were three levels we went through. First, we said all these objects are there, like this object is there, and who is seeing this object? It is actually it doesn't, it's kind of, fading because of the blur of my thing. But I have a cup in front of me. This cup is seen by whom? By my eyes. So the relation between my cup and my eyes is, this cup is the object, my eye is the seer, is seeing it, right? Now, if I take it to one more level deeper, I know my eyes are there. Who knows that the eye is there? The mind. The mind is saying that, yes, I know that you are there. The mind is seeing the eyes. Now, who knows that the mind is there? It is something else, because I know that I have a mind. Correct? So the relationship starts to, there is idam, which is the cup, and aham, which is the sense organs. Now the sense organs becomes the idam for the mind, which is the aham, and the mind itself becomes the seen or the idam for that I, which is actually the ultimate Atman, or we call as Sakshi, or the witness principle. So that Sakshi is separate. And this is again the relationless relationship, In each one of them, there is that. So there is a relation between the seen and the seer, but that seen-seer relationship is relationless, meaning there is no attachment to it. So we see, ultimately, we come to that Sakshi, which is seeing it. And that Sakshi is completely unaffected by anything. And this is what in the fourth shloka, he says about not fourth, and this is the fourth line. I do not dwell in them. That I is that aham. I do not really dwell. They all exist in me, but I do not dwell in nacha aham teshu sev. This one, and also he comes to say this bhuta brit nacha bhuta. The support of all beings ultimately is that Atman. Okay. Again, I think I'm already jumping 2 or 3 things to tell you that, but I just want to give you that relation, what I'm coming to in this seer-seen relationship, So this whole thing is where he comes to, where he's saying that, the analysis part of it, which I wanted to say. So if we, in this world, we may always say, taking again this steel cup as an example, this cup itself came from a steel metal, and from the steel metal itself came from iron. The iron itself came from, again, being a chemist, I'm able to see this because, in BASF, we used to have 4 or 5 divisions, and, one division serves the other one. Actually, the simpler example probably is going to be a cloth material which is made into form for dress. A dress comes from the cloth itself came from the cotton came from the thread, right? Where did the thread come from? Ultimately, it came to the elements, but each one of them, they were all the material cause. It's actually only in, say, in Advaita Vedanta, this shloka, when it is analyzed by Advaita Vedanta, we'll, of course, moving forward, we'll probably also analyze this through Visishta Advaita or Dvaita philosophy also. But at the end of the day, trying to say that at the end, the whole world rests on, the whole world or the universe rests on that Atman. Okay. We looked at it the individual way. I just analyzed it for you from the Rupam Drishyam part of it, each object. But now look at it from the totality of the world. Okay. The totality of the world also rests on ultimately that Atman, but the relationship of that Atman to the entire world is there is actually no relation. And that is the part of the Maya which we will come to very soon, Matstani Sarvabhutani. So, yeah, go ahead, Anand.
Yeah, is this like one example where I see sun in the water, but again, the sun is not really in the water, it's a projection. Is that a good example?
That is a good example. That is a better example probably would be this rope and the snake example. That really hits the nail on the head, because you think you're seeing a snake on the garden hose. Okay. Right. But the snake doesn't really exist. But the snake is not there. It's actually the rope is there, right? So in that sense, this Sakshi Chaitanya, or the entire world, can be thought about. That Atman is the substratum. Without the substratum, there is no way you can have the whole Jagat, because I'm seeing the Jagat. Actually, I am seeing the Jagat. I'm part of the Jagat. I'm living all these, problems, the emotions, everything I'm going through, right? Again, going back to Gita's original question, you're seeing Krishna, but yet Krishna is everywhere. So to me as a person, I am in this world. Again, the dream example, I am in this dream, involved with everything, but yet in my larger sense, just like that ocean example, the wave, the wave is individual, but the wave is also the ocean in the form of the water. Those examples are better. The sun reflection is a little different in the sense, yeah, we'll come to that later. But if you can understand these examples of rope and snake, or the dream example, those will help you understand that relationless relationship.
Okay. But again, by the sloka number 4, is Maya introduced already here?
Maya is actually introduced in this Pashime Yogam Aishwaram in 5. In here, he does introduce that in a very subtle form. In later times, the word Maya itself will come, actually, in chapter 9. But here he's trying to show that this aspect of I do not dwell in them, So first he's trying to show that all these beings are due to Maya. And then he's trying to say that I, as Atman, do not dwell in them. The them part of it is the Maya part of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And over here, again, I say Pashima, when he says the word wonder is actually Maya, because again, the movie theater example is also a good one. When I go to a movie theater and I see in front of me a blank screen, okay, I'm perfectly normal, I'm very quiet, calm, and all that. The minute some, a movie like Dashawataram or something, this, or something really, or what is the latest, what is the famous Chola King movie which came about, with so much, the Chola, the 1 and 2 sequel which came about.
Bahubali?
Not Bahubali, where Aishwarya and all of them were.
Ponniyin Selvan.
Ponniyin Selvan. Ponniyin Selvan. I mean, imagine that Ponniyin Selvan, so much amount of drama and all that. That is Pashimi. I look at the Pashimi Yogam Aishwaram. That whole thing is, and our whole world is nothing but the drama which is being played out on that screen, So that relationship of that screen to the movie, without the screen, there wouldn't have been, we cannot really see the movie, but the movie is not the screen. And that is why he says, I'm the support. I'm the support for that movie, but I'm not part of that movie, That's why, yeah, go ahead.
If we take the movie example, I'm not in the movie. I'm just looking at the movie. I'm not part of it. Whereas in the dream, you are part of it. So there is a difference, isn't it?
There is a difference. Correct. No, that is 100% true. Yes. The movie example is good to understand the support versus the movie itself. But yeah. So that's why this. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. So from 4 to 6, you said it's the 4 to 6 verses. You said it's called the secret laid bare. So that means to bring up light. Can you explain what is the secret laid bare means?
What is the secret?
You said 4 to 6 verses is the secret laid bare.
Laid bare,
so
right?
I'm thinking it is to bring up light. Is that correct, or can you explain a little bit more?
To bring up light? Yeah, so...
Is that correct?
No, so he calls this as royal secret, which means not necessarily also as the secret of the kings, but it is the most royal secret of it all, Now, why does he call it the most royal secret? Because it's so subtle. Not everyone will be able to get to the point of really getting it, It requires a tremendous amount of sukshma buddhi, So first, my buddhi has to be extremely subtle. My buddhi has to be made so subtle that I can understand this subtle knowledge. And the word secret as such has been used only as in a descriptive way to say that not everyone will be able to understand secrets, you know. Only a person who is has all the knowledge can understand a secret. Correct? Like, for example, spies and all that, right? Why are there
Yes.
spies? The spies are there because they are extremely smart and who can pick up things which others cannot. So we'll have spies even amidst who are able to do that. How are they able to do that? Because their intellect is extremely sharp. So in that sense, the word secret has been used. And the shlokas 4 to 5, there is so much depth in it. Every word, every time when I read it, even this week when I was trying to see how I can explain it, there were so many things that I never thought about it before. I mean, as I said, when we started reading these two shlokas, in the beginning it looked okay, Maya tatamidam sarvam, okay, by me everything is pervaded, all that. But then I think today is probably the first time I'm really introducing the word Maya and illusion, or, actually I haven't even said it's illusion, but through the example of rope and snake, I actually said that, so the things that I had, the pictures, of course, now if you look at it, that relation between, this is what I said last time, if you take this cloth example, cloth and the thread, the thread is woven throughout the cloth. But I think the mistake I made here is to choose a cloth where you can see the thread, which is not a good thing. If I had used a carpet, a very colorful carpet where there's all kinds of images, you would not have seen the thread at all. But the point I was coming to is you have a material in front of you which has a utility value, it has a name and form and everything. But then all that is possible only because of the thread. And this is where we need to, the idea behind this is our mind is so conditioned now that without a name and a form and a utility value, it cannot imagine things. We have just, we've been habituated to live a life like that. But to get to our final goal or destination, if we believe in having goals in our life, right? The best goal one can have is this ability to go beyond names, forms, and utility value, And we are in a position to do that today. We only have to detach ourselves. And that is where this thing is coming to is, if I look at anything in the world, it has 5 properties, that Nama, Rupa, and this other aspect of Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit, Sat is the existence part of it. Without the existence of the thread, there can be no cloth. So that is the existence part of it. And of course, here Chit is referring to the consciousness, which in this case it doesn't have. So we're not talking about that. And even Ananda, because of the fact that there is no Chit or the consciousness aspect, even the aspect of happiness, Ananda we call as happiness. Happiness meaning that state of, even if English words just doesn't do it. The minute I say state of bliss, I immediately think, very beautiful, nice. Again, there is a name which we give to that quality of Ananda. So that is not what we're referring to here. It is that state of being, that state of peace, which in this case it cannot. So in that sense, this example is not the best one, but you can understand Sat is the existence part of it, because of which the Nama Rupa is able to be there. Again, the example of clay and pot can be used. Clay is the Sat on which you have the, a Sat is the clay on which you have the Nama and Rupa of the pot. Okay. This is just a simple thing. I found it. I thought this was nice. Where suppose some a wave is trying to look for. Here it's a fish, but imagine this fish to be a wave and it's saying, where can I find the ocean? This thing is saying, no, the ocean is what you are. It is you. But this is water. I'm looking for the ocean. There isn't anything to look for. All you have to do is to look. I just found this thing. It was a random thing on Facebook. I found this and I said, wow, this is exactly what. There's nothing connected with Vedanta at all. But I was just thinking, oh, maybe if this is a wave, then it's a conversation between two waves or whatever. All you have to do is look. But look, the word look is the most powerful thing, where you can look in so many different ways. With my mind, if it is too full of stuff, I can judge some things differently based on the simplicity of my mind. So this
Maybe
is where I...
Vedantan wrote that.
Huh?
Maybe a Vedantan wrote that.
No. I should probably...
Sounds very Vedantic.
Yes, exactly. It was purely a random source, I should have put the source there. Then it made me go back and research that source to find out.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. But, coming to a very practical view of when I look at this ocean and the wave, even if, forget about Vedanta, but if I can, this ocean example kind of gives you this feeling that, you can, if I identify myself more with the water rather than the wave, I can be actually more adaptable to circumstances that comes into my lives. Like last time when Preeti said, I can understand this example when you tell me about anger, that anger is in me, but after some time, the anger is not in me. So therefore, I can understand the fact that I am not the anger, correct? So it was in that relation that I thought this example of putting it up here, saying that when I identify with my pure self, I can see that I'm more adaptable and accepting to anything, because, like, just like water has the ability to be very fluid and adaptable, it can adapt itself to any container. It can adapt itself to this cup. It can adapt itself to this bottle here. Everything, it is so adaptable. So too, in my mind, I have to empty myself of any kind of preconceptions or expectations. And when I do that, I'm very receptive to anything. And the other thing is that water by itself, has so much of power. You can harness the potential within it. So there is so much by just that example of water and ocean, which I felt, again, it's not a Vedanta thing that we are talking about here. We are talking about using that example to see what can I learn from it to adapt it in my life. So the other examples, now coming to the clay and clay example, is the substratum for the pot is the clay. The clay can take up different shapes, sizes, utility values. And one other example is gold and ornaments. We have done this before. It is the gold which really takes up all these different forms and shapes and everything. And yet, I always, when a new design comes into the market, I want to have that, forgetting that what I'm going for is actually the gold, but I get enamored by the names and forms. And the more I get enamored by the names and forms, the more that creates a vasana in me. And, I'm going the other way. And this is the heat and fire example, which is at the end of the day, the fire is actually all nothing but heat. And the essence of the fire is nothing but heat. But it's the fire that really I see, that's the Nama Rupa, but it's not. What is the time now? Oh my, wow. It's already 4 minutes above. There's a few more things that I wanted to cover. But this is that all beings exist in me, correct? That was one of the sentences, one of the things. But all beings exist. This one, you can again use that example of the wave and all of them, they all exist in me, but I do not exist in them. This is the example of the snake and the rope, and so this is the relationless relationship. They are in me, but I'm not in them. And this also, we talked about how this whole clouds and everything, the blue color is nothing but an illusion. It's caused by the scattering of the light waves. Even though we know this so much, right? I mean, we would have studied this in school, yet when I look that up, I am enamored by it, right? So this is to say that how, in spite of the knowledge, we live in this world as if everything is, so solid and real. So this is actually a very powerful thing which I wanted to go through. We'll do that next week. I was actually thinking that we might be able to do 2 more shlokas also, but we'll do it definitely next week. We'll move on to 7 and 8. But based on this, I think if you can spend a little time to reflect on it, and any thoughts, please do send a WhatsApp note, and then we'll be able to just do it in the reflection time. Okay. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyat dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om purnamadav purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Let me stop sharing.